Penzel Construction has been a recognizable name in Missouri construction for many years. A company that began building homes in Jackson, Missouri, quickly expanded to building bridges, schools, churches, and constructing industrial facilities throughout southeast Missouri, using the most modern techniques as the years passed. April 2010 marked the 100-year anniversary of this remarkable company. Penzel Construction has proven its endurance throughout the past century by consistently raising its standards and remaining innovative. The Penzel Company has passed through 4 generations of the Penzel family while maintaining the integrity with which it began. The family heritage actually dates back to the early 1800s in a small town called Gettengruen, Germany. From Gettengruen, the Penzel family, including Johann John Penzel and his wife Christina, traveled aboard ship Ella, which took them from Bremen, Germany to New Orleans, Louisiana, of which they landed on November 7, 1853. Shortly after they arrived, they traveled up the Mississippi River and purchased land in the small town of Jackson, Missouri, on January 4, 1854. In Jackson, John's main occupation was farming, but he and his son Gustav also built a few barns and similar structures in the area. Gustav built several buildings in the Jackson Uptown Business District. It was not until Linus, the son of Gustav, began to build that the idea of a family construction company came about. Linus Penzel was born August 9, 1879, and began carpentry work at the age of 19. As an ambitious and determined young man, he found work in Jackson and St. Louis, Missouri, as well as Kansas, Colorado, and Texas. In 1908, Linus had a son, Carl, and started contracting work in San Antonio, Texas. On March 31st of 1910, he moved back to Jackson and started his business, which eventually became known as the Penzel Construction Company.
When Linus started the company, he pretty well operated out of his home, and his desk was the kitchen table. They, I don't know if they bought or leased office space above what we know now as tractors.
The company moved to their current offices on Penzel Drive. Carl went to college for 2 years and immediately began working for the company. In 1937, at the age of 29, Carl became his father's partner in business. By this time, the company had built several houses in the area and expanded to accommodate the building of schools, churches, and factories, as well as Missouri State Highway road work. Carl eventually bought out his father in 1954 and incorporated Penzel Construction Company in 1959. Carl's son, Carl Gene Penzel, was born January 10, 1934, and at the age of 15 began working during the summers on construction projects. In 1955, he earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Civil Engineering from the University of Missouri, Rolla, and then became a naval aviator before working full-time for his father in 1959. Gene followed in the family footsteps and became the president of Penzel Construction Company Incorporated in February 1981. Gene Penzel had 2 sons, Philip and Christopher. Phil was born August 27, 1963, and Chris was born December 20, 1966. Both sons began working for the company at the age of 14. Phil, the current president and CEO of Penzel Construction Company, graduated from the University of Missouri, Rolla, with a civil engineering degree, just like his father. In 1987, Phil became a full-time employee, and by October of 1988, Penzel Construction was a registered engineering firm. Phil became a registered civil engineer in 1992 and served as president of the Southeast chapter of the Missouri Society of Professional Engineers from 1993 to 1994. He also finished 2 advanced management programs and an executive leadership forum in Dallas, Texas, hosted by the Associated General Contractors of America. In 1996, Phil became the president of Penzel Construction Company Incorporated. Since then, the company has continued to provide quality work for its customers, the same promise that Linus Penzel founded the company upon 100 years ago. Many of the most notable structures in southeast Missouri were constructed by Penzel, including the Marquette Natatorium.
It was the first all-concrete structure in the area, which was fairly unheard of at the time. I was contacted by a student from Southeast Missouri State University. He had made contact with one of the granddaughters of the original owner of the Marquette Cement Company, and he was able to come up with a lot of extra photos that I've never seen before.
Another infamous structure, the Hirsch Tower, was constructed by Penzel in 1968.
The Hirsch Tower, or commonly known now as the KFES Tower, was an interesting project because my grandfather developed a way of mass producing the precast panels on site. Another interesting series of events for that project was the harsh winter we had that year. He would do a lot of research trying to create different ways of doing things so you could continue working in the winter, including heating structures, heating concrete, and it pretty well was snowing or extreme cold temperatures throughout that first winter when they were doing the foundations.
One of the largest construction projects was the Procter & Gamble Bounty Towel Manufacturing Plant, a series of structures consisting of over 800,000 square feet were created to produce a whole line of paper products for distribution.
In 1920, my great-grandfather Linus built the original Jackson High School. Then again in 1935, my grandfather Carl built the grade school auditorium, which is centered around the new construction that we just completed in 2009 for the new high school event center, new music rooms, new kitchen area, and commons areas and art rooms. We've been involved with buildings on the Jackson High School campus for 90 years.
It is because of Penzel's great reputation for their quality structures and customer commitment that they have received and been recognized for several awards over the years, including the National Society Professional Engineers Professional Development Award, the Mississippi Valley Family Business of the Year, the 2006 Industry of the Year Award from the Jackson, Missouri Chamber of Commerce, Missouri Department of Transportation Awards 6 years in a row, and many other awards from the National Association of Church Design Builders. It is easy to see why Penzel Construction has been a leader in the construction industry for southeast Missouri. With 100 years of quality construction and unparalleled service, there is no doubt that wherever Penzel goes from here, it will continue to be a successful and trusted company for years to come.